This is part 2 of our visit on 4 helpful healing practices and principles under the title of It's Never Too Late to Heal. Oh, that's a good thing. Last time we looked at this acronym HEAL, and we looked at the H, which stands for helpful prayer. I even went so far as to share some of the prayers that came out of our healing support group last week. And they sound like what they're praying for is already completed. They don't sound like begging and pleading like, oh God, I need a parking space or a special person in my life or a fatter paycheck. They don't sound like that. They sound grateful and like what they've been praying for has already happened. My favorite one has been the one from a woman who fell and fractured her femur, and her prayer is that her leg is weight-bearing and has already healed beautifully. So let's move on now to the next 3 letters. The next one is E, which stands for embracing that we are essentially spiritual energy. You know, we feel solid because we're made of tissues and bones, but that tissue and that bone is simply made up of cells, and cells are made up of molecules, and those molecules are made up of atoms, and what physicists tell us is that inside those atoms are just microscopic clouds of energy. They're moving so fast that it's even difficult to measure them. But that's where we get Einstein's formula, E equals mc squared. Energy is simply matter moving super fast at the speed of light squared. So I want to look now at how some really, really knowledgeable people teach us about energy. Dr. Ethan Siegel, you may have heard of him. He's a pretty famous astrophysicist and a huge fan of Star Wars. And he says this, inside your body, you aren't mostly empty space. You're a series of electron clouds all bound together by the quantum rules that govern the entire universe. The entire universe. It's one set of rules. It's spirit manifesting as many different energetic entities, but it's one principle, one power, one presence. I just love that. And Nikola Tesla, he died in 1943, but before he did, he said that to understand the true nature of the universe, one must think of energy, vibration, and frequency. And of course, the brilliant Einstein, Albert Einstein, he said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Matter is energy, and energy is light, and we are all light beings. There we are again, back at that E equals mc squared. Energy is matter moving at the speed of light squared. And really, what else could we be? You're not your body. You could be in an accident and lose a limb. You're still you. You could get cancer and lose your hair, as so many of us have done, and you are still essentially you. And you're not really your mind because your mind changes all the time. Let's say you make up your mind and you think, I am going to be a really healthy eater. I did this again for the millionth time on Sunday. I'm going to be a really healthy eater. And then I walked into the green room and there were 3 plates of donuts. So I looked at the most yummy one and I cut off 1 bite of the end, which is okay to do, and I dunked it in my coffee, and it was delicious. So I changed my mind in that moment. I'm going to be a healthy eater. Suddenly I'm a person who eats donuts. So our mind changes all the time. And furthermore, we're not really our emotions because those are also ever shifting Before I walked into the green room, I was happy. I was a healthy eater. And then after the donut, I was like, ugh, I'm so disappointed in myself. How could a cream-filled donut have such power over me? So we're not really our emotions either. But what we are is that internal, invisible, ever-present, indwelling spirit which created us. I think of the connection as being ineffable, intimate, inextricably intertwined as we are with that force that created us, the one that brought us into being. So that is, for me, the energetic truth of who we are. Let's move on now to the third helpful healing principle and practice, and it is the A in healing, H-E-A-L, and it stands for activating relationships. You might recall that in our last visit, I shared a little bit about my father. He was that Wildcat, Oklahoma oil man who didn't do mushy feelings at all, but toward the very end of his life, when I think the veil was very thin and he was crossing back and forth over it, he said something that really demonstrated to me that divine healing was happening for him of what he was currently going through, and maybe even of some old wounding. So we were alone. I was pushing him in his wheelchair. Of course, we were both facing forward because he didn't do eye-to-eye connected conversation. He either did it in the car where both people were facing forward, or I guess in this instance. So I was pushing him in the wheelchair. And he said to me, Linda, all that's ever really mattered to me. And he said to me, Linda, all that's really mattered to me was loving your mom and you 4 kids. That's what he said. Never had he said that before in his life. Oops, I sprang a leak. But to me, what that said was that he was really finally in touch with the fact that all that matters, all that we take with us, is the love that we give and receive in this lifetime. So, you know, I love that study out of Harvard, the Grant study. It's 81 years old. I keep looking for a better one, but I can't seem to find one that indicates just how important our relationships are in our life. Did I say that that study is 81 years old? I mean, they started studying this group of Harvard freshmen when JFK was one of them. So since then, they have studied thousands and thousands of people who are the descendants of those boys who went to Harvard, as well as other people who are in the control group. And what this study says to us is that there are 2 key findings from it. The first one is that it's the quality of our close relationships that matter, the quality of them. Are they kind? Are they loving? Are they supportive? Are they reciprocal? Those are the kinds of relationships we want going through life. And then secondly, that a good life is built on good relationships. That's what keeps us happy and healthy throughout our lifespan. So maybe at this time of year, you want to feel into your relationships and see if indeed they do support you. Do they nurture you? Do they lift you up? Do they help you be a better person? And maybe at this time, like me, you'll be remembering the words of Mother Teresa. She said, in her very sweet voice, people are unrealistic, illogical, and self-centered, but love them anyway. So let's go on now to the last letter in our acronym, the L, which simply stands for letting love prevail. The founder of our teaching, Ernest Holmes, said this about love. Love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. The essence of love pervades everything. It fires the heart, it stimulates the emotions, and it renews the soul. I wish you all the best with the nurturing of your soul, maybe using these 4 principles and practices that we've talked about, the ones that spell out H-E-A-L. H stands for using helpful prayer. E stands for embracing that we are essentially beautiful spiritual energy. And the A stands for activating your relationships as you let love prevail. Thank you.
As we drop into that peace, that love, that essence of the divine that is in, around, and through all things, knowing that God is all the stars and the planets throughout all of the galaxies in the universes. Yes, that one living Spirit Almighty is all of it, in, around, and through all things. It is the seeds in the soil, the wind and the rain, the rocks and the mountains, all clouds and oceans, rivers, lakes, and streams. Yes, God is all plants, flowers, weeds, and trees, all animals and fish, all birds and insects. God is love, peace, joy, power, abundance, and prosperity. God is life. It is each blade of grass, every grain of sand, the very air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink and use. And God is in, around, through, and for everyone. Everyone. There is no separation, only unification, no darkness, only light, no fear, only faith. And in this, I do know and affirm that I am a unique individual expression of God, and each and every individual on the planet is a beautiful, unique individual expression of the divine in, as, and through each one of us. And in this, I know and affirm that God is the source of all supply. So God is the source of my supply and your supply. Each and every one of us graciously accepts that love and abundance, the peace and prosperity, the abundance, money and gifts that do flow to us and through us. And each and every moment throughout our lives, as we give, we receive. As we receive, we give. There's this flow that each one of us lives in, and I am so grateful. So grateful for all of this. And this word spoken here now, I do release into the law, knowing that even as I speak it, it is already given. Knowing that this, or something far greater, is all of ours to enjoy. And so it is.